On the show today, the return of Sixers Adam, the triumphant return of Sixers Adam.
The prodigal boy.
Yes, we will talk to Sixers Adam about his year covering the Sixers, his first full-time year, which ended up being so rewarding, I'm sure, covering the excellent, fun year of Sixers basketball. So glad to see Sixers Adam thriving. So that is what is on the show today. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is, of course, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Cornblau Law, the official law firm of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Body Bio, get 20% off any Body Bio order with code August at bodybio.com. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez. Mortgage CS, become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP at mortgagecs.com/Ricky. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official canned cocktail of the Ricky. Happy birthday to Aiden from, now Mike.
Birthday talk, $100.
Yeah, $100. I think this is Mariah, Mariyah. Okay. Or is it Maria?
Could be so much.
Yeah.
I think your first instinct is good.
Mariah. Yeah, well, look, it doesn't mean she loves you any less. It just means I should have asked her and I didn't. Aiden is a huge Ricky guy, had to move to Boston for work, which for a Sixers fan, not great. But huge Ricky guy. It was his birthday, July 23rd. Now, in fairness, Maria or Mariah or whatever her name is, reached out 3 weeks ago. I told her to remind me. Timing didn't work out perfectly, so it's coming a little late, but that's not her fault. It's ours. Also, Maria or Mariah thought our podcast was called Rice and Richie.
That's cool.
Which one are you? Are you Rice or Richie?
I might be Richie.
Yeah, I think you're Richie. I feel more like a Rice. Happy birthday, Aiden. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka is summertime. You got to cool down on the deck, maybe watching a ball game, maybe in the yard, whatever, with a awesome Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. Maybe a lemonade, strawberry lemonade. That's Val's favorite. Maybe a green tea and vodka. You know, I don't know if you know this, they all have 100 calories and 2 grams of sugar. None of them have any bubbles because they'd be fools to put bubbles in iced tea or lemonade. Get it at wherever you get your canned cocktails, or go to drinksurfside.com. You got to be 21. Please enjoy it responsibly. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy that looks like a proud papa right now. That is one Mike Levin.
My boy.
There
My
he
boy's
is.
Here.
Sixers Adam. Welcome back to Ricky versus Sixers Adam.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to talk to you guys for the first time since October of 2023. I hope you've both been well.
Wow. That's good.
We've obviously talked to Adam, but Adam has not been on the pod. Adam left the Ricky for a full-time job at Philly Voice, covering the Philadelphia 76ers. Well, I think when you first left, you were still in college. So you were, I mean, this is more employment status than anything else. But this was your first year as like not a student, full-time gig covering the Sixers, yeah?
Correct. Yeah. First year with that as my full-time job.
Worst mistake you made. What is it?
Yeah. Horrible mistake.
Oh God. Expecting that it would not be like the most nightmarish and disastrous season possible in my first year, like just feels right in retrospect. And I could not see it coming. I guess that's probably up there.
I think that's good for you though.
Yeah.
Because you were how
Me
old
too.
when the process started, you were how old? 2013?
11.
Okay.
Oh, fuck.
So you were
Yeah,
11
sorry.
when the process started. I think that there's the way that you report and the way that you're just have the mind and work ethic of a poster, and with the fucking the lineup card, the lineup changes that you're tracking.
Of course.
I think just like you got to be your fullest self year one. And I think that was good for you. Do you feel like you got to go, do you agree with that? Do you agree that you had to go through these trials and tribulations of a horrible season?
Yes, 100%. And I think I'll be better for it. Like even like a serious sense with like trying to find interesting stories on a daily basis and find angles that people will find interesting. I felt pretty good about the way I was able to do that during a season where nobody gave a shit and most people weren't watching the games. And it got to a point where people didn't know half the players on the team. So if there's ever a nice season again, I feel like I'm well prepared to find interesting things going on there.
Yeah.
Did you have fun?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. I'm like the only person that enjoyed this season. I really did. Even like more than the other writers. First of all, it was super rewarding and whatnot to be able to do it as my full-time job and just solely focus on it. But yeah, I mean, I just really enjoy like trying to find those angles and trying to build relationships with players and doing all the different things that the job entails. So yeah, as much as everyone else hated it, I really didn't. I will look back at that season very fondly for the rest of time.
Did you ever do a get ready with me TikTok? Day in the life of a Sixers reporter?
I am not on TikTok still. No day in the life TikToks for me. I don't know if that would be.
You could post a video, post it on Twitter, Blue Sky.
You could.
I suppose I could. I don't know if that's like the most exhilarating or
why don't you talk us through it right now?
Yeah.
Right now, day in the life, talk us through it.
Yeah,
Get ready with
like?
Adam.
Are we talking like a game day?
Game day. Yeah.
Sure.
I am getting up and getting on the subway and going to shoot around.
What time?
We talked to
as much detail as possible.
10:40 a.m. is when the gym opens after shoot around. Okay. We talk to one player.
What are you drinking?
Go back home. Water, always water.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah, I know. I go to shoot around. We talk to one player. I go back home. I am back around 4:30.
Do you have any rapport with maybe a security guard at the facility as you walk in?
Shoot-arounds are now at the arena. Nick Nurse prefers the shoot-arounds there, Doc at the facility. It's a different. It's a different
scoop. That's a good intel. That's people.
Yeah,
people learning something.
Yeah,
Doc Rivers facility.
I'm
Nick
sure
Nurse
I scooped everyone on that one. Everyone was dying to know that. I am back around 4:30. I walk in and Kyle Lowry is warming up cartoonishly early before the game, even though he's oftentimes not playing. And Nick Nurse speaks. I'm assuming it's a 7:00 game. Nick Nurse will talk at 5:15. Then the opposing coach talks at 5:30. Then I'm in the Sixers locker room from 5:45 to 6:15. Sometimes
when do you pee?
When do I pee?
Yeah,
After the locker room. After the locker room.
And do you pee in the locker room?
No, that's a big no.
You never thought like it's right there.
Has anyone done it?
No.
Has anyone got caught peeing in the players' locker room?
I would imagine the players at some point have done that.
No, of course, but I mean the media.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no.
Okay.
So I will stand in the Sixers locker room from 5:45 to 6:15. Sometimes I'm doing interviews. Sometimes I'm literally just standing in the middle of the room, looking around, seeing who's interacting with who and seeing who likes who and that sort of thing. And then I've got 45 minutes to pee and do whatever else I need to do before the game.
Well, you don't need that much time to pee.
Game happens.
That seems exexorbitant.
Well, he drinks a lot of water, Mike.
Okay, to peeing.
I do drink a lot of water.
So you're standing in the middle of the locker room. Are you writing? Are you pen and paper? Are you phone? Do you have a little Nathan Fielder laptop sort of attached to you?
Phone. phone. If I need any interviews, I just record it there. I'm not much big on the pen and paper these days, to be honest with you.
But the interesting thing with the phone is that are you making like a face like I'm actually working, I'm not just texting? Like, are you sort of like trying to indicate it in some way?
Well,
like,
I'm usually not.
By the way, that's the problem with the phone in these settings, is that people just think that you're texting or tweeting or whatever instead of writing down stuff.
Yeah, so I usually am not trying to like look at my phone so much while I'm in there. It's more I just have it with me in case, like, if I need to talk to player X and then he walks in, I can go up to him and hold up my phone as a recorder.
Maybe it'd be helpful to have one phone that is like marked. This is my like personal phone. I'm
a sign on it that says,
texting a friend, maybe doing not non-work stuff. And then you have a phone that's much more serious saying like, this is work. I'm actually doing work. And it says that on the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to have to write that down. And
I think that'd be helpful.
Ask my bosses to pay for a second phone. So
good.
So we can get moving on this. It seems like a foolproof plan.
When you worked here, Spike would have obviously paid for a second phone.
Yes.
100%. 100%.
No doubt. No doubt. The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Cornblau Law. You may be saying to yourself, is that related to Kornblau and Kornblau? In fact, it is.
It'd be such a coincidence if it was.
Yeah. Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. It's a new advertiser that's Cornblau Law. No, Kornblau and Kornblau is now Cornblau Law. New name, same great Kornblau. That's right. You need a lawyer. You need Kornblau. You need a lawyer specifically. Now, if we're talking personal injury, there is no more rabid dog than Kornblau. And actually, I will say, I won't give out any details, but I had somebody close to me in an accident. And when I heard about it, I was like, you got to reach out to Kornblau. And even though it's in a different state where he doesn't actually practice law, he was helping them through it. That's the kind of guy that he is. And he is a fucking bulldog. I will tell you that. Personal experience. Hopefully I can share this other personal experience very soon. He's a fucking bulldog. The guy is going to get you. If you've been wronged, if you've been hurt, and it's somebody else's fault, Kornblau is going to make sure that you get what you deserve. And like many of our listeners have found out, even if you don't have a personal injury case, if you have a case that you need help with, just reach out to Kornblau. He helps like every Ricky person. Been doing it for a very, very long time. The law firm was started by his parents 4 decades ago. Now it is Kornblau's, or Adam Kornblau. And one of the things that you can be sure of is that when you reach out to Kornblau and Kornblau, you are going to get Adam. It's not a place that they're just going to refer you to some other place. No. You're going to get Adam. So if you think you have a case, reach out to him. Kornblau at kornblaulaw.com. Kornblau at kornblaulaw.com. Or you can call them 215-701-4467. That is 215-701-4467. Cornblau Law, the official law firm of the Ricky. It's obviously different to when you were with us. Well, you were going to games and stuff when you were with us and you were in the locker room or whatever, but you're there more now. Like, what is the advantage of being there? Like, because so many times, so like as the landscape has evolved, there's a lot more people covering it from home. Road games, I imagine you have to do that. Like, what are the advantages of being there?
I think it's, first of all, the like relationship building part of it, whether that's from people with the team or people on the team, just being around, they start to recognize your face and your voice and whatnot. And you can start to, develop relationships with them. I would say that's the biggest thing. And then, I mean, as far as the stories go, just, being able to utilize quotes from, not just post-game stuff, but, I can try to go grab someone and get them one-on-one after a game and have exclusive quotes, and gives me the chance to have sort of more outside the box story ideas where I can go up to someone before a game and be like, hey, I have like sort of an out of left field question for you. And I talked to Yabu about the confetti game once. That was fun. Stuff like that you wouldn't normally hear in like a post-game scrum where it doesn't make much sense to ask about it, right after you just beat the Hornets or something. So that's probably the two biggest things, is just having the players and people around the team more familiar with you, and also just the ability to ask questions that might be somewhat unusual or stuff that you wouldn't necessarily ask like right after a game.
Were there any guys that you were like walking up to and you could see that in their face? They're like, oh, fuck this fucking guy again. And they're like, because I imagine some of the players are more welcoming than others, and some are like, oh, please. And do you take those social cues, or do you just fucking do it anyway?
I take those social cues to a degree.
Okay.
I wouldn't say like I've gotten them an enormous amount. But they're like, it's pretty clear which guys are, excited to talk to the media, even who like think it's cool that there are people interested in them. And then guys that would rather just sort of be invisible in that moment when there are reporters around. And, the locker room's open for a half hour. That doesn't mean every player's in there. Especially some guys are warming up around that time. So it's not, I can't go up to Joel or Paul or Tyrese on demand and go get, a one-on-one interview with them. But yeah, there are certainly guys where you can tell that they're more interested in talking than others. Sometimes a difficult part of the job is like getting interesting material out of someone that doesn't want to talk. But that's just part of it. They have a right to not want to talk all that much, but sometimes I have to try to get stuff anyways.
What is the question you were most scared to ask?
Oh, that's
or most like a combative question that you felt like this person is not going to like me hearing this?
Oof. Well, Daryl rejected the premise of my question at something in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was funny.
What question?
Well, I asked him about Janai Broom, and I had written a story in like early June about like basically tracking. I talked to you about this at the time, like the Sixers' history of late draft picks and undrafted signings, and trying to find like common threads between the prospects. And it was a lot of younger players, a lot of guys with really good athletic testing, particularly like vertical jump, and guys with like pre-college pedigree. Broom fits none of that. He's like completely antithetical to every single one of those. So I asked Daryl, hey, like, Broom does not exactly like fit a similar mold as a lot of the guys that you've picked before. What was it about him that was so attractive to you guys? Because they've liked him for years. I wrote a story. They liked him at the 2023 combine when he was testing the waters and decided to go back to school. And Daryl just like rejected the premise that they have a mold with late draft picks. And then, I was asking why they like Broom more than whether or not they have a mold. But I understand. I certainly don't think writing off any players in the second round without a 40-inch vertical. But sometimes you get stuff like that where you ask a question where you think it's pretty the sort of answer you're going to get, like, oh, we like Broom because he does this, this, and this, and he works really hard. And then it doesn't happen. There was a story I wrote about how like the Sixers have really paid more attention to like teaching their big men how to pass in recent years, particularly the last year and a half or so. And it took me like 3 tries asking Nick Nurse about it to get like the actual quote that made sense for the story. And sometimes you have to do stuff like that where you're asking like 40% similar versions of the same question over and over until one of them actually hits.
Well, Nick Nurse is a good one to ask about because he, from my perspective at least, did not seem like he was having a very good time this year, and certainly didn't seem like he was having a very good time answering health questions, and it seemed to bleed into everything else.
Kind of rude to not be having a good time on Adam's first year.
Yes, yeah, maybe it was you. How is Nick Nurse to deal with, especially when you can tell that he was prickly at the moment?
Yeah, I've had largely very good experiences with Nick personally. The injury stuff, I understand his frustration. Like, he's not a doctor and he's not the person running the team, but he's the only member of the team's decision-making, group in any capacity that we have any sort of access to on a regular basis. During the season, Daryl generally talks after the trade deadline, and if they make a trade earlier than that, he'll talk after that trade. Other than that, Daryl doesn't talk, which, believe it or not, is more than a lot of other executives in the league. But still, like when the Embiid stuff is going on early in the year and he's not playing and nobody knows why, and the team is saying that that was their plan, and they're saying that he's not injured, but he's not playing and the season has started. Like that's and the team is not playing well at all. That's the only thing people care about. And like, we have to repeatedly ask about Joel. Like it would not make sense in our job to not be inquiring about why the best player on the team is not playing despite supposedly not being injured. So I understand Nick's frustration, and I don't really think his frustration is with any of us personally. I think it's just with the whole situation and the fact that, I mean, you know, it's not unique to him. We always talked about how Brett had to answer for literally everything when he was coaching here. It's a similar idea where, like, if Nick's not, you know, the president of the team or the head of medical, why is he the one who's answering questions about the medical plan for the best player on the team? But at the same time, we can't just not ask about it because we know Nick doesn't want to talk about it anymore.
Right. But I guess my question is, well, I didn't even ask this, but like when he asks I'm interested in the emotion and process of you when somebody clearly doesn't want to be asked about something that you need to ask about. And he was clearly getting more and more agitated. Like, I guess I'm asking what is going on in your head when that is happening, and do you have like an inclination to let him off the hook just because you're a person? And then secondarily, like, is there sort of like is this sort of a situation where the beat writers almost act like a team and subconsciously let each other ask the question each time so it doesn't have to be the same person?
Yeah, I'll answer the second part first because it's quicker. Yeah, like that stuff absolutely happens. It's a lot of like, who's going to take it this time? Even largely, like, it's usually unspoken, but there are just sort of looks around the room of like, who's gonna do it for us now? But as far as asking uncomfortable questions, I think you have to sort of think about if the juice is worth the squeeze. Like if you're asking something like Joel, like people just have to know the most that they can about Joel and when he's going to play and what's going on with his knee. Something like that. Like, yeah, it's going to make him uncomfortable. You know that he's not going to like that you asked about it, but like, he's also a smart guy and he goes every one of these prepared to, get questions about that and any number of other things that are fun. He's been trained very well for like this market. So if it's something where you feel like it's going to genuinely antagonize someone as a person, and like jeopardize your relationship and trust with them, or just like on a personal level, for some reason, you might feel sympathetic towards them, about the situation. Like if you don't feel like it's going to provide much information, then there are ways around it. You can try to arrange a one-on-one sort of thing where maybe they'll be more casual and more forthcoming or whatever it is. But it's not something that I think is regularly occurring, where it's like, oh man, I really wanted to ask Nick about why he played, this Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson lineup for 3 weeks, but I just don't want him to get mad. Sorry, Mike. And they're coaches and part of their job is they have to answer for the decisions they make in the games, and they're the most consistently available representatives of their teams. And that's part of the job. And I mean, even like, people who ask those sort of tough, uncomfortable questions more often than others, I don't think it prevents them from having good relationships with Nick or anyone else that we're talking to.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by our friends at Body Bio. We care about your health at the Ricky.
Deeply.
Body Bio cares about your health.
Deeply.
Body Bio makes products that keep you healthier. They are a supplement company, family owned, family operated, local here in Jersey. And being smaller like that, instead of being one of the big ones, is important and good because they are nimble. When things change, when science changes, as it does, they can shift, they can move. When there are products that they are about to ship, possibly the way that they test everything that doesn't meet their standards, they don't ship it. Some of those big companies, you see them on the shelves at the grocery store or, the drugstore or whatever, they've been sitting on the shelves for years, maybe sitting in a warehouse for years. Not Body Bio. They care about the product they're sending you. One of the products, and we've talked about a lot, we talked about E-Lite, we talked about butyrate, remineralize.
That's it.
Remineralize, Mike. You might know, you might not know that as our world has evolved and as soil has been over-farmed, all that sort of stuff, that the minerals that used to be in your food just from growing out of the ground are not really in there anymore. And because of some of the things we do, like you filter your water, the minerals, it gets rid of the bad stuff, which is good, but the good stuff also goes out too. What remineralize does is naturally brings you back to all the minerals that you're missing from those sources, a broad spectrum of minerals. Remineralize comes from dried salt beds in Utah, minimally processed. You put a couple of drinks in your water, whatever, maybe with your E-Lite, and then your body once again is full of the good minerals that should be in your body that maybe aren't in your body because of the way things are right now. Go to bodybio.com. Use code August because it is August. Use code August. You get 20% off your order. Whole order, not just first order, all the time, 20% off, code August, bodybio.com. Bodybio, bodybio, bodybio.
Were you there when Joel and put hands shoved, lightly pushed Marcus Hayes?
I was, yeah. I was there.
Where were you standing? Were you talking to someone, or were you doing your standing in the middle of the room routine?
I walked in next to Marcus, actually. So immediately there was yelling where I was like, oh, right, Marcus is next to me. This is not directed at me.
Okay.
It all happened so quickly that everyone just sort of stood it was almost like two single file lines, on each side of them, or one to the left and one behind them, as they conversed, I'll call it, for 2 to 3 minutes. That was quite a night. Did not expect that, even when knowing the situation and knowing that Joel I figured that he was going to be hot about it, but I did not think it was gonna devolve into what it devolved into.
Where were you standing during when the push happened?
I was standing probably 5 feet to Joel's right.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you this. If one of the Sixers media people, as this was happening, stood in the middle and said, all right, we're going to have a fight and everybody has to pick their side, line up behind Joel or Marcus, but everybody's got to fight, which side would you line up?
I don't know if it would be wise for me to get into any sort of physical altercation with anybody.
Sure. Are you rejecting the premise?
Riding the line here.
Yeah.
I'm sort of rejecting the premise.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to just not partake in any sort of physical altercation in the Sixers locker room.
Were you close to being shoved at any point this season?
Was I close? No, I was not.
Okay.
I think not that I can think of.
You should get a little closer. I'm not saying you should get shoved, but you should.
I should just have someone think about it.
Well, in order to be a good journalist, I think you should be close to being shoved by a subject at some point.
Or else you're not being honest.
Is there anyone you'd like for me to get shoved by?
Adam, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. I'm just telling you should get closer to being shoved this season. That's it.
Okay. I will keep that center of mind as soon as the preseason begins.
Okay, good.
I would imagine some of this is you just sort of guessing and projecting, but I assume you read the article from Dotun about
I did.
Embiid, and reading that based on what you have observed in your time of Joel in your time covering the Sixers, both personally when you've spoken to him or just when you're standing in the middle of the room watching everyone, how much of what Dotun wrote was surprising to you, and how much of what he wrote is that all adds up? What did you think reading it based on what you've observed?
I would say it was largely the latter of like, yeah, all of this stuff helps inform all of these perceptions of Joel that I have from being around him a lot more recently, but also just following his career and following the Sixers and being aware of everything going on. I sort of think the biggest thing I took from it was like, this is something I've often sensed with Joel, is like a desire to want to like, I don't want to say clear his name because that's not really what I mean, but like explain his sides of stories, but also not want to face the backlash of like Embiid throws X person under the bus. Embiid makes excuse for this playoff loss. Like that's what I think stood out the most, because I'm sure he sort of feels trapped. I mean, I would guess in basically every respect when it comes to like saying anything, Joel feels like it's, you know, damned if you do, damned if you don't. And I think he has a right to feel that way. I would also say like that's to varying degrees true for probably every famous professional athlete. Like nobody's ever going to have an 100% approval rating. And if he wants to clear his head by, you know, venting about the management of his knee when, you know, these last few years, or his rehab after he got drafted, I think if that gives him peace of mind, he does not need to give a shit about like if people on Twitter think he's making excuses or is like coordinating a PR fluff piece, which this was not. Like I just think I know it's easier said than done. I've never been even like 1% as famous as some of these guys are. But the idea
you don't think you're 1% as famous as Joel Embiid?
No, Joel. No.
What percentage?
He won the NBA MVP, Mike.
Sure.
Yeah,
I just want to know what percentage you feel.
Yeah, 100 times is much, much, much bigger.
Yeah, because he's the former NBA MVP. He's like one of the most talented players of all time.
Okay.
I just think in addition to nearly being shoved, I think you should come closer to being 1% as famous as Joel next season. I think that should be a goal.
Okay, I'll work on that as well.
Do you think you're 1% as famous as Janai Broom?
Ooh, no. I would no. He's like one of the most accomplished college basketball players of the last many years. I feel like you're setting me up here.
No.
Okay.
No.
Just trying to find it.
Yeah.
I have a hypothetical for you.
Okay.
It's before a game. You're peeing not in the locker room, in the regular place where you pee as a journalist. One of the players comes in.
Okay.
And then they don't wash their hands. Do you report it?
Wow, what an incredible hypothetical. Where a player leaves the locker room, spends 5 minutes walking to the hallway to use the media restroom.
That's it.
Right next to the cafeteria, and doesn't wash their hands.
Yeah.
So would I be like framing this as like exclusive expose?
Why don't you just answer the question?
Why don't you stop rejecting my premises?
Yeah.
No, I would probably not.
What if they then got sick the next day, missed the game with hand, foot, and mouth disease?
Then I would probably consider it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, if I had good reason to believe that the two things were related in some way, then that would be fair game.
A pattern of not washing their hands in Sixers facility. An expose by Sixers Adam.
Perfect. That'll be my biggest story of the year.
I think so.
Do you find it difficult, or do you ever think about it when you're being critical of a player or a coach, knowing that you're going to have to see them the next day?
Yeah. I mean, it's just naturally like something that you think about if you when you say something negative about someone in a public space, and then you know that you're going to see them the next day. And like most of these players are searching their names on Twitter, whether you can tell it or not. Like even the best players see everything generally. What I just try to be measured in what I'm saying. And like, if I'm critical, be critical in a way that like, if the person came up to me in the locker room and was like, "Hey, I saw this, I didn't appreciate it," I could be like, "I understand that. Here's where I'm coming from." I haven't had an experience like that personally. I know many people who have, and I think that overwhelmingly most common outcome is that like they respect if you stand your ground, and actually stand by what you said, and you don't backtrack because they came up to you in person. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult, especially the ones that you might have gotten to know better than others, that you might have a better relationship with. If you have to write a story or have a tweet about, how they got pulled from the rotation or something, of course it's a little uneasy, but especially guys who have been around, like they get that that's what our job is. They know that they probably don't need to take stuff like that personal generally. But yeah, there's definitely some level of uneasiness with that sort of thing.
Ricky Council was waived by the Sixers. He had a non-guaranteed contract. Daryl likes to go into the season with an extra roster spot open. I was a little surprised that they didn't bring him into the year and then waive him before the contract was fully guaranteed. What was your reaction to that?
I would have been slightly surprised if he was on the team on opening night. I would have been stunned if he was on the team past January 10th when his contract is guaranteed.
Yeah.
I think, there's no downside to keeping him on the roster. If anything, this is like probably doing him a solid. He could theoretically get claimed, but if he doesn't, this gives him time to like go get a two-way somewhere. He's still two-way eligible for another year or two. And a lot more spots open now than there will be if they cut him right before training camp or right before the start of the season. I don't know if they're going to fill that spot or not, because they could just sign Grimes and be at 14, which they have liked. I like that generally, but I don't necessarily think it's smart this year when so many of your players are liable to be unavailable for long periods of time, and you've given a roster spot to Lowry, which I think is fine if you go to 15 guys to give Kyle that spot and have him do all the Kyle Lowry mentorship, leadership stuff. But like they just don't have enough sure things as far as guys that will be consistently available to play at NBA caliber minutes to like completely punt on a roster spot. It does make it easier if like Jabari Walker pops early, which I would not be surprised by whatsoever. If they like, I think he's clearly an NBA caliber player, and everyone was shocked that he was on a two-way. Mm-hmm. It makes it easier to convert him at some point early on in the season if you need to. So yeah, I was slightly surprised by the Ricky news just because of the timing of it. But I wasn't expecting him to be on the team next year. There are only so many games you can play without like demonstrating that you can be trusted to like make the right decisions on either end of the floor. It was just too many of the like bizarre step back twice to the left threes at the end of the shot clock that don't go anywhere close, and missing defensive assignments and stuff like that. I just don't think they were going to trust them.
Yeah.
The Right to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Briggs Auction. Do yourself a favor. Download the Briggs Auction app in the App Store or Google Play, or perhaps just visit briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction is an auction house in Delco. Don't worry, you don't have to go there. I mean, maybe to pick up your thing, but it's not a live auction in person. It is an internet auction full of lots, hundreds and hundreds of lots every single week of stuff that you're probably not going to be able to find anywhere else. We actually had to order a piece of furniture for our house, and there's tons of furniture at Briggs Auction. We're on month 4 waiting for it. So if you don't feel like waiting for new stuff, maybe you have a new room in your house to furnish, check out Briggs Auction. There's stuff there that you're going to find that you're not going to find anywhere else. CJ, the Briggs auction item of the week. Oh, I see this one. I see what you're looking at.
Keeping it short and sweet, we have a 1990s Philadelphia Eagles sweatshirt.
Dude,
Classy.
that is prime.
Ray Rhodes.
Holy shit, that is a good one. And dude, by the way, that's when sweatshirts were sweatshirts.
You know this is comfortable.
Yes.
You know, especially compared to what's out today, you know this is going to feel great to wear.
In Culture Wars, we don't talk enough how sweatshirts used to be sweatshirts.
Well, let me tell you, Mike, sweatshirts were what you get yourself like a 1992 sweatshirt and compare it to the quality of sweatshirts today. It's not the same. It's not the same.
It's nice embroidered.
Yeah, look at that.
Great quality.
Woo, look at that.
Small little stain, you can get that out.
Yes.
Get a Tide to Go stick, something like that.
Get rid of it. And by the way, I was looking in the Briggs Auction sale that's going on now. There's a couple of '08 Phillies World Series T-shirts in there.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of stuff. You're going to find collectibles. You're going to find art. You're going to find furniture. You're going to find vehicles. You're going to find jewelry, electronics. BriggsAuction.com. If you win a lot, you can pick it up, open pickup on Saturdays, yes, or make an appointment during the week, or work with them on a shipper. If you have a bunch of stuff to get rid of, perhaps some Prime sweatshirts, nobody can auction it but Briggs Auction. info@briggsauction.com. That is the email address. Briggs Auction, the official auction of the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast.
It's clear, I think, to everybody what Ricky wasn't competent enough at. Hey, just like defend your position, hit open, catch and shoot threes, and attack the glass relentlessly, and get out in transition. But there's the difference between knowing that and being able to put that into practice in like real games. Like, are you seeing or asking Nick Nurse or asking Ricky, like, or assistant coaches or whatever, like who is working with Ricky to make that come together? Because he's an incredibly athletic player with a tremendous amount of like unique gifts, but not doing the like obvious thing that everybody needs him to do. I wonder what the disconnect is.
Yeah, I think the disconnect probably starts with like Ricky not feeling like he should be boxed into that sort of role. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. Like, I understand that conceivably it's a lot harder to like make a name for yourself by like, I'm just going to crash the glass and use all my intensity on defense and run in transition. And like, if the ball swings to me and I'm not open for a spot up three, I'm just going to swing it to the next guy. Like that's why what Justin Edwards did this year was really impressive to me. And I think I wrote this at some point. Like, I think the Ricky Council experience inherently like boosted Justin Edwards' stock. Because
it was such a stark, like when you saw Justin Edwards come in so early and you're like, oh my God, this guy just did what he was supposed to do. Never tried to do anything more. It was so stunning to watch compared to Council, you know?
Exactly. And they really like him, especially Nick. And he's like not even close to the athlete Ricky is, but he's probably a little stronger and definitely like more skilled in a general sense with a much more fluid jumper, which is not a high bar, but
well, that's the jump. I mean, I thought Justin Edwards was bad in Summer League. I thought he was trying to, it's like, oh, this is my time. I'm a second-year player. I just got bumped up to a guaranteed deal. I'm gonna cook these guys. I'm better. And he just wasn't. And I do think that if Ricky was in Summer League, Ricky would have dominated in a way that Justin Edwards is incapable of. And I think it's interesting that, and maybe revealing of why it's hard for Ricky to like accept it, but like at the NBA level, you just need a guy that can hit open jumpers and make quick decisions and not try to do much more than that. And in Summer League, you would like a guy that can just, you know, do everything and score 40 because it's not real basketball. It's bizarre. I see that that's tricky, but I wish I admire Justin Edwards for being able to go like, okay, this is how I'm going to fit in and I'm going to do this team stuff. But it's hard to put away the other stuff that is successful at some of the other levels.
Yeah. I mean, Ricky just has a level of athleticism at his size that can overwhelm like sub NBA competition. Like there were a couple times where he went to Delaware last year, which I don't think that he was thrilled about, if I could guess, but he played really well because like the NBA is just a different level of speed and physicality and strength. And he has enough to completely overwhelm competition at a lower level. Justin, I don't think does. I didn't expect Justin to be someone that like went and crushed Summer League. I certainly thought he'd be a lot better than he was. I'm not that worried about it for someone who's probably in the, 14 to 18 minute a game sort of range next year, if all goes well, which I mean, who knows? I
can't imagine it doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, everything always goes swimmingly here. But yeah, I usually don't get too like alarmed or optimistic about Summer League stuff. I just, Jared was terrible in Summer League last year. and things went really well. I mean, we've talked about it before, but I have a positive outlook on Justin.
But by the way, this is all an interesting conversation, I think, in regard to Grimes too, because Grimes was great last year, but he was largely great in a situation where they were letting him cook the entire time against teams that were probably, not that they weren't defending him, but were happy to just like not go overboard on trying to stop him. You know, somebody's got to score for the team. And it's not, Grimes has been on teams where he hasn't been the featured player, obviously, but it's fair to note he's been traded by those teams as well. So I do think if we are in a world where this magical world where Paul George is playing and Joel Embiid is playing and Tyrese Maxey is out there and Jared McCain is also healthy and VJ Edgecombe is getting minutes, where Quentin Grimes' role is minimized to an extent that like we've rarely seen from one year to the next here, how he's able to fit into that role.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And I think the point in favor of it working would be that like the Sixers did not trade for Quentin Grimes with the idea that he was going to average 23 points a game over the course of the remainder of the season. They traded for him because he had that reputation as like exactly what you're describing his role being next year, like a 3-and-D guy who plays around stars, who can score in spurts. It was never like they did not trade. They traded for him because he has an established track record as a complementary player. Now he has this just like crazy on ball juice. And it's not, I don't think anyone thinks that he's going to ever be a focal point of an NBA team for 82 games, but he's clearly far more capable there than anyone expected. I think the sell is he has a floor of being a good complementary player that he exhibited mainly in New York and Dallas. And it's just a matter of how much you have to tap into the other stuff. It doesn't hurt to have it around. And it also, again, in 4 years from now, Maxey, McCain, Edgecombe, and Grimes are probably not going to all be on this team. Like at the very most, 3 of them can play together. Even those lineups are really guys. But if you get him on the best contract you can, and that's what I think they're trying to do, and why this has dragged on for so long and will continue to drag on, like the more exciting of a trade asset he is, whether that's at this deadline or next summer or the next deadline. I don't think they're going to rush it. Like I think Daryl's thing is often just get the pieces in there and then you figure out how it fits later and you can move stuff around if you need to. But I don't think that their short-term situation is clear enough when we don't know when Embiid is going to play and when even Paul George is going to play to like worry that much about it. Like, I think they just have to get like a 25-year-old who's good at defending and good at hitting spot up threes and now can score off the dribble and just get him back in the organization and figure it out.
Well, I think also, the thing with PG is, as everybody can tell, he's getting to the basket less than ever. He is less athletic with the ball in his hands than ever. Last season, he shot a career low 10.5% of his shots from 0 to 3 feet, whereas Grimes shot a career high 26.4% of his shots from 0 to 3 feet. And so if Paul's just going to be doing more stretching the floor anyway, like Grimes is capable of beating a second side defender to the rim because he's very fast with the ball and still pretty athletic in a way that Paul George no longer is willing to be, let's say. So I think Grimes is a really nice fit because Maxey can get to the rim, but he's still pretty below the rim. McCain can get into that middle spot, but he's obviously limited athletically. Embiid not that fast and not maybe available, and Paul George also not willing to do it anymore. So like Grimes being capable of legitimately, being a threat from 3 and also a threat to attack and finish at the rim with athleticism, I think gives him like a unique spot on this team. Obviously, Edgecombe hopefully becomes that as well, but I think if everything magically does work out, I do think it would work out in a way that we would be happy to have.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll all go perfectly.
Do you still think the Grimes thing will end up with him signing a multi-year deal with the Sixers?
I do. Yeah. I understand the like qualifying offer speculation, the idea of like bet on yourself for a year and then hit unrestricted free agency is like interesting, but it's something that almost nobody ever does. And the people who have done it, it's never really worked. The only person that ever did it, right, Bridges is the only one where it ever worked. And I believe he really was taking the qualifying offer because of all the off-court stuff going on with him. That was not like, there wasn't money for him. And then suddenly he got 9 figures. And I think there's something to be said for, like you mentioned, Grimes has been traded 3 times in 4 years. And as he was a late first round pick, so he's only made $11 million in 4 years. Yeah. And I think, I think the priority there is probably securing long-term guaranteed money that sets you up and your kids up for the rest of their lives and probably multiple other generations as well.
Well, maybe the sweet spot is like a 3-year deal worth like 16, 17 million. He goes back into free agency when he's 28. That's still like kind of betting on yourself, but also not being so reckless about it where he could get hurt this year and then that's it. So he still gets a lot of, I think that's maybe the sweet spot is for the Sixers. I would love to have him at like 4, 70.
52.
52. I think
he's going to get less than 15.
You think he's going to get less than 15?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a little bit of a danger to me in Daryl giving him a sub-market deal that makes him unhappy. And he's not like obviously priority number 1, but for a team that just like needs positive vibes, like I wouldn't mind giving him an extra $1 million or 2 a year. So it's like that will, I don't know, I think affect the culture in a way for a team that has been so miserable last year and everything.
Yeah, they've set the tax and apron stuff up in a way where like every $1 million or 2 is very valuable. I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want qualifying offer Quentin Grimes. I have no desire for because then you're in a position where he's going to be out there wanting to prove that he's worth a contract, and the Sixers are out there saying, you're the 4th option in the starting lineup.
Which is another argument of like, give him another $1 million so he doesn't take that,
What if we agree to have him on a live Ricky show?
We should have him on
it's not $1 million.
I would love to have him on live Ricky.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he would also get a no trade clause with the qualifying offer. So like it's not like it was like, okay, we have Grimes on a 1-year deal. Let's trade him somewhere that wants to pay him. Mm-hmm. Like also his bird rights don't travel if he's on the qualifying offer. I don't need to get into all the crazy CBA stuff, but I don't think him taking the qualifying offer makes sense for him. And I think it would be a pretty bad outcome for the Sixers. I think he's just going to have to take whatever long-term money he can get. I think doing a 3-year deal instead of 4 is a pretty reasonable compromise that, like, if I had to guess, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 4-year deal where the 4th year is a player option or something. Because ultimately, like, he's got to secure his money. He's earned it. But there's just not any out there. So it's just not going to be a deal that's commensurate with his production and youth and ability to keep getting better, because those sort of resources just don't exist.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Mortgage CS. Now, I love when we get emails, and we get a lot of them, about our sponsors, because they tell the story that I try to tell you, and you can trust them, right? I mean, I guess you can trust me. We got this email from Nick. Hi, Spike, Mike, CJ, and Daryl. We've been casually house hunting on and off for the past 4 years. When we started, we didn't know the first thing about mortgages, rates, pre-approvals, and we just went with the mortgage guy our realtor recommended. He was old school, hard to reach, slow to respond, and didn't do much to help us understand. When we picked back up our search last year, I decided to reach out to Mortgage CS, and I'm so glad I did. From our very first conversation with Ben, it was clear their team was different. He patiently walked us through everything, answered all our questions, and helped make the whole home buying experience feel a lot less overwhelming. Over the last year, Ben and Alec were ready to jump at a moment's notice as we made several offers on houses we didn't end up getting, taking calls, preparing letters on nights, weekends, even while traveling. When we finally had an offer accepted, Mortgage CS team made the rest of the process feel easy. They kept everything on track, checked in regularly, and helped us close last Wednesday without a hitch. My only regret is not reaching out to them 4 years ago. Wow. Huge thanks to Ben, Alex, Shannon, Christine, and the whole team. Isn't that great to hear?
There is something maybe this is the point I've been coalescing for 12 years or whatever, since whenever we started a podcast.
Yeah.
Started having sponsors. There's an inherent hustle quality to someone who is advertising on this podcast.
Yes.
They're not like,
yes.
They give a shit.
Yes.
If they care enough to advertise their business on this podcast specifically, that does indicate some level of trust that you can have in them, that they like are going to try very hard for you.
And the other thing is they stick around. Look at how long they all fucking stick around for.
That's it.
So if it's time to go get a house, if you've been working with a different mortgage broker and you're not happy, or if you're just starting, the best time to reach out is first mortgagecs.com/Ricky. That is mortgagecs.com/Ricky, or call or text their CEO, Ben, at any time, 267-391-7425. That is 267-391-7425. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information. How much secret stuff do you know that you're not allowed to say because you've been told or seen off the record?
Yeah.
Like, is it tons of secret stuff? Is it like just a couple secret things? Like,
I would say it's somewhere in between tons and a couple. I would say it's a healthy number.
How
but
salacious.
It's not like a ginormous number.
Like, I'm not asking you to tell any of the secret stuff or else it wouldn't be secret. But like, let's say your best secret thing that you had, if you said it right now, what would the reaction be? Would it be like, whoa? I mean, maybe not us, because maybe even we know the secret thing, but like regular people, like what would regular people, like regular listeners of the Ricky?
I think most of them, it would be like sort of a peek inside how stuff works in the NBA, and like how, like, I think people think that everything is like the most complicated thing in the world. Like sometimes a team does something for the strict purpose of like pleasing someone. Sometimes a player, says something that they would never say publicly in private. Like sometimes it's just simple stuff like that. I'm trying to like think of what the biggest secret I know is. I don't think I'm armed with any like Watergate level things here. But yeah, I think it's mostly just like the inner workings of it, and that's something that's been super interesting to me, is like getting to know these guys when the cameras are off a little bit, whether that's me talking to them or just watching how they interact with each other. That's one of the more interesting parts of it to me, because it's such a different world than even when the cameras are on and they're with us, let alone when they're, doing an interview on ESPN or something.
You think James Harden has a lot of sex?
Just based on, not any secret info.
Professional journalistic opinion.
Well, Spike, you insist that he does, right?
I didn't insist. I just said it casually, and Mike is turning into this whole thing, but I do know.
But you won't say how.
I'm trusting, you and I are fellow reporters, and I trust that your sources are good on this.
Spike doesn't have the journalistic credibility and instincts and rigorous discipline that you have, standing in the middle of the locker room looking around. He could never.
With my this is for personal use cell phone.
I think that would help again.
Yeah.
So, but in your opinion, you don't have a professional opinion on James Harden.
I don't have a professional opinion. I will side with Spike because I trust Spike in a general sense.
There you go.
I need to see proof. I need proof, and I won't accept it off pod.
What would the proof be? Oh yes,
you said you have proof.
Well, I said that I have information that I am very secure in, and I offered to tell you off.
If you're so secure in it, I would say it.
I offered to tell you off pod, but you.
I'd like to know off the pod if
I will absolutely tell you off the pod.
And that's just disrespectful to the listeners, who I would never disrespect. If they can't know, I can't know.
Who is the Sixer that you had like the best vibes with? Do you feel like that you got to know the best?
Probably either McCain or Bona this year. Both just pretty sweet guys, good to hang out with in that sort of like 30-minute locker room period. Adem is just incredibly friendly and likes that my name is Adam. Called me twin when I introduced myself to him, which I thought was funny.
Simple as that sometimes.
I would say those two probably stand out. McCain was happy that I had Duke winning the tournament, which they didn't. But it's largely a locker room of guys that are pretty friendly. It was last year. I would say far more than people would expect for a team that was having such a miserable season. Reggie Jackson was awesome. Reggie Jackson is hilarious, and like he could very well have like this Jeff Teague career arc post playing if he wants to, I think. Yabu was a total gem. I mean, you guys
seemed like a great dude.
He's wonderful. I think I told you guys before that he was really nice. I'm gonna miss interviewing him about all sorts of stuff. When I asked him about the confetti game, instead of like explaining his reaction to it to me, he was like sort of trying to explain to me how it might have happened, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, it's a good locker room as far as like being friendly with the media, largely, I'd say.
So Spike and I think AU and I think probably everybody, and that is a health of sound mind, is trying not to get their expectations up this year and just being like, hey, I just want the team to be fun. I want the young guys to be compelling, and I want the sort of positive vibe coming from guys like Maxey McCain, Edgecombe, Bona, Justin Edwards, even if he hasn't shown a ton of personality. But just like young, hardworking guys getting better. Do you feel like that is happening? Is that like turning the tide a little bit of, I know the season hasn't started yet and everything, but like, though, is the critical mass of young people, of young athletes playing hard and being excited to be there enough to overwhelm the general bummer nature of a Joel and Paul George locker room?
I would not say overwhelm, but definitely it at least like mollifies the situation to some degree. I think like that's why getting the pick at all was so important, let alone it jumping up to 3. Like nobody has any reason to like assume that they're going to contend with Embiid and George, because we don't know if particularly Joel is going to be able to play consistently enough at any level. Like forget, is he going to be back to MVP caliber player, which he had been for years? Like, can he play at any level on a regular basis? Because last year he couldn't. Last year, every time he played 4 or 5 games in a 10 to 14 day span, the swelling popped back up and then he was on the shelf again. A lot of teams that like invest tons of money in max and super max contracts and push all the chips in, end up in a situation where like, if it doesn't work, the future is really bleak. The Sixers aren't in that spot. Like Maxey's still 24 for a little while. And then all these young guys you mentioned, namely McCain and Edgecombe, like there's a real foundation there for, the 2030 Sixers. Where like, if you look at, I don't know, Phoenix, like not a lot of young talent there, unless you think that Jalen Green is going to, finally pop as a top 3 pick or whatever. So I think everyone has a right to be like massively disappointed with the fact that this is the sort of stuff we're talking about in Embiid's age 31 season. And it's disastrous that this is what it's turned into. But with Maxey and McCain and Edgecombe and Edwards and Bona, and you go up and down the roster with the young players and the extra Clippers picks they have that I think have a chance to be really valuable. I know I'm sort of on the high end of that. Like they've set themselves up to not be in a disastrous scenario. And when those big contracts get off the books, there's a lot there.
All right. I'm going to ask you some questions. And the premise, which you're not allowed to reject, is that your life depends on you being right about the question. Okay. So if you're wrong, you're murdered in cold blood.
Perfect.
Obviously, this is not a realistic scenario, but that's why they're difficult questions. The first question, you have to bet your life on it. Will Joel Embiid ever play 50 games in an NBA season again? Regular season.
Ever.
Let's say regular season plus playoff, 50 games in one season.
I would say yeah. If I had to guess, and my life depended on it.
Okay,
let's go.
If your life depends on it, will the Sixers make the playoffs this year?
I will say playoffs, not play in.
Playoffs. They have to be one of the 8 teams in the grid.
I just have to say no until I know that Joel actually can play on a regular basis.
Here's what I want you to resolve here. You said you would bet on Joel playing 50 games.
Well, you said ever with Joel playing 50 games.
Yes, but if it isn't this year, you like the
right, I know the odds go down, but I have
okay.
At least 3 more years.
Okay, fine. If gun to your head is Nick Nurse, the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, game 1 of the 26-27 season.
Oof. I'll say yeah, gun to my head. But I don't feel good about it because I think it's natural to expect some movement if this year doesn't go well.
I would assume that the answer, given your answer to the other one, gun to your head, Daryl Morey is the president of basketball operations, start of the 26-27 season.
Yeah, basically the same answer. Gun to my head, I would say yeah, but I don't feel like that's a lock or anything close to it.
Are all 4 of Maxey, Edgecombe, Grimes, and McCain on the team to start next season?
I would say 3 of them are on the team to start next season.
Okay. 2 more. Will Paul George be on the Sixers for the entirety of his current contract?
These are so many. He could get killed in so many ways. You're giving him so many.
I know.
If he's wrong on any of these, he's
I
dead.
want him dead.
Like, there's so many questions.
Mike, I want him dead.
I have to go like 8 for 8 on 50-50s.
Yeah.
I would say yeah. I think it's difficult contract to move.
And Embiid, same question.
Yeah, 100%. I should say 100%. But
and final question: does Joel Embiid ever suit up for another organization in the NBA?
Ooh, no. But I don't feel that great about it.
Okay, well, clock's ticking on Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. You're setting me up to get killed here, man.
What?
Well, Mike won't answer those questions, so I feel like I like putting somebody else, in the bullseye. I would
have just sort of went to bed in the middle of it, just out of sadness. I guess, what do you think the record should be? Say Joel doesn't play at all this season. Who knows? Joel doesn't play at all. Paul George gives you 55 to 65 games. What should their record be?
I don't think good. I don't think they'll be resemble a good team. I think you're talking like mid-30s. Does that seem reasonable? I don't. Well, I don't know. Last year they were worse.
Last year they were worse than they should have been for a bunch of reasons.
100%. Yeah, in part because they were deliberately losing for the last 2 months of the season.
Of course. But 3 and 14, the season, the part of the season that mattered, which was really 3 and 14. That was just like unacceptable on everybody's level.
Yeah, and like Maxey will shoot better than he shot during that stretch where he just couldn't get anything to go in, and then hurt his hamstring in LA. I just think, it's been talked about at length, but it was quite possibly like every single thing that could have gone wrong going wrong.
Yeah,
that like just from a statistical perspective, it's hard to imagine it being that bad again, even if it's really bad for the same basic reasons. It's hard to imagine it being that bad. I think mid-30s, like Maxey is a really good offensive player. They have other guys that are good. I think Watford is going to help and is going to help those guards.
Yeah. I think that team should be closer. If Paul George is there, I think that team should be closer to 500. Yeah.
I would say so.
I'm not saying that I'm like they can do a lot of stuff, whatever, but like there's enough good players on that team. And if Nick Nurse is a better coach than he was last year, and the team like just has a little bit more fucking
I think.
Just give me some chutzpah, Spike. Can I get a little chutzpah?
I think it would be a condemnation of both Nurse and Maxey if they weren't closer to 500.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. And maybe Paul George is as bad as he was last year, but I'm anticipating him being a little bit better if he gives you 55 to 65 games in this scenario.
I'm anticipating Paul being clearly better than he was last year, but I also I wouldn't be surprised if he's clearly closer to last year than the all-star version of himself. Like you mentioned those rim frequency numbers earlier, Mike. I was looking at those all year from 5 games in through him getting ruled out. Those were really alarming, and it matches what you watch when you watch the games. He just doesn't have that explosion off the dribble much anymore. And so instead of you think he's going to blow by you, so he pulls up for this mid-range jumper and he's one of the better shooters in the league. It's those are all heavily contested now, and they're low efficiency shots. I think there's a world where he turns into primarily high volume spot up 3-point shooting, occasionally scores off the dribble at the end of the shot clock. He still can get to a mid-range jumper in a few seconds with a few dribbles. But I think we're probably past the days of that being one of the key components of an offense on a regular basis.
Adam, I know Daryl Morey is considered one of the landmark GMs of all time. But I want you to take just his Philadelphia tenure and compare it to simply since you became full-time at Philly Voice. Who do you think has been better at their job? Daryl as president of basketball operations or Sixers Adam as beat writer?
That's interesting. Well, let me just make some points while he thinks about it.
Okay. Thanks. Let me think about it for a little bit.
As far as making the best out of a bad situation, Daryl makes the Quentin Grimes trade.
Yep.
He does sign Yabusele, but then lets him go for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He did give Drummond and Eric Gordon player options to return, and then willingly brought Kyle Lowry back after that.
It was the Melton trade,
Sixers Adam.
Yep.
Wrote a bunch of articles when there was nothing to write about.
Yep.
Best of a bad situation.
Yep.
All the lineup, all the substitution patterns. No, he has the market cornered on that.
Was really close to the Marcus Hayes Joel Embiid confrontation.
5 feet away, I believe.
Positioning. Yep.
He did not pee in front of any of the Sixers to at least per how he discussed it on this podcast. Maybe a missed opportunity, but also probably good judgment.
Yeah.
So I think it's a toss up. Adam, verdict.
I can't pick myself. I feel like I'm not allowed to pick myself.
But that means that's what you believe.
But then I didn't give out those 2 contracts last year.
Wow.
Those two max contracts.
Oh, wow.
I haven't for me, that would be like writing an article that is so bad and has sources that are so wrong that it financially
handicaps the Philly Voice for the next 3 to 4 years.
Right.
Wow. I can't wait to ask Daryl the same question next time he's on.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that'll be great. I respect Daryl, to be clear, and he's most of the stuff aside from those contracts has worked. But I can't pick. You can't make me say
you already have. You already have.
Yeah, you have with what you haven't said.
Right,
Sixers Adam, the prodigal boy.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Congratulations. We're proud of you.
Thank you, guys.
Get shoved this season, okay?
Yeah.
Get a little shoved.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Let me know off the pod if there's anyone specifically that you want to shove me.
Just somebody.
Anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, would love if it was Nick Nurse, but truly.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean the story.
I don't anticipate that.
All right. Okay. Sixers Adam, do you want to say the thing at the end?
Yeah.
Now that you're a big star, if I asked if you're down with TTP,
I can say the thing. I've said the thing before.
Well, say it again. Are you down with TTP?
I won't fuck with you.
Yeah, Lickface.
If you don't fuck with me, then I won't fuck with you.
If you don't fuck with me,
then I won't fuck with you.
But if you fuck with me,
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
That's a plan B.